My husband wanted an open marriage because he wasn't physically attracted to me anymore, so I agreed and started seeing someone. Now, he's saying he can't share me with anyone else. Posted by you/throwawayopenmarrige. I, 39F, was told by my husband, 48M, a year ago that he wasn't physically attracted to me anymore. I kind of understood that because since our second, 4M, was born, he hasn't had intimacy with me. He said he loved me more than anything in the world and that the rest of the relationship was perfect, but he needed to have intimacy or he would go crazy. I was taken aback, but I started asking him about the definition of an open marriage, and we discussed it over a few weeks. To be honest, I was feeling intimately deprived and the idea started to grow on me. I said yes and asked if there were any rules, and he said usually every couple had their own rules. So our rules were, first, no bringing them home, and second, use protection. My husband was very clear that he also wanted to know who the other person/persons is and when, in order for us to plan our days. He was meeting new women within a week. He told me everything, showed me pictures and was gone on most nights. Not gonna lie, I felt like a mess, but I thought I needed to give it time. I was more careful, however, because I needed to know the people I had intimacy with and at least had some kind of feelings. Booty started to relax more and flirt back with guys. One of them is a client, J, 36M, at the bank I work for. He's not my client, but he sees me often and he has always been pleasant and extra chatty with me. Now, I started flirting about a month ago because I finally decided that I was ready to start sleeping with others. I told Jay about my arrangement. He was disappointed at first, but then he said he was in. I went home to my husband and asked him if he was going to do anything that Friday, and he said no. I told him that it was good because I needed him to be with the children. I showed him Jay and told him I was meeting him on Friday. He was silent. Friday came and my husband texted me that he was stuck at work and that he was going to meet a girl so he couldn't watch the children. This continued. Every time I fixed a date with Jay, he would do the same and leave me with the children. I don't mind spending time with my children, but I was getting annoyed anyway. Last Monday, I had no meetings at work after lunch, which often means that I don't need to stay in place. I texted Jay if he wanted to meet and he was at home. My children are in daycare. I went to his place and it was amazing. I have missed this so much. The feeling that I'm desired and someone's eyes filled with desire for me, my body. When I got home, I told my husband and he was livid because I didn't tell him beforehand. I broke a rule. I told him that I didn't. He knew that I was seeing this guy and that I've been trying to make time. Anyway, he didn't speak to me the rest of the evening. He woke me up in the middle of the night with gentle kisses and touches, and we had intimacy 3 times, the first in almost 5 years, and we have had intimacy every night since. Now, he's saying that he is attracted to me again and that's why we need to close the marriage again, but I don't want to. I like having other options and we're not hurting anyone. Update 1. Our situation has become much more complicated than our entire marriage altogether. We never had problems before more than the usual couples arguments, but I understand now that it's because I'm just an agreeable and gullible person, because the first time I'm making the teensiest tiny resistance, our life has literally turned upside down. I have already written that we never had intimacy for years due to lack of attraction from his part, which led to him suggesting that we open the marriage. When I found Jay, however, my husband was suddenly attracted to me again. We have been having intimacy regularly. I loved it because I love my husband and it was just a wonderful feeling, being desired by him again, even though deep down, I knew he wasn't attracted to me as much as he was panicking that I'm starting to sleep with others. I was right. Last Tuesday, I was supposed to meet Jay again. Monday evening, as per our agreement, I told my husband about it. He was so surprised and said, "Why do you want to meet him when I've had intimacy with you every night for the past week?" I just looked at him and told him that I didn't understand what he meant. We had an open marriage and I've been very clear that I didn't want to close it again. I felt happy and content for the first time in years, and he has been sleeping with others for a year without any problems. Why now? Well, he told me that he hadn't been with anyone in almost 2 weeks because he thought that I was enough, so he didn't understand why he wasn't enough for me. I asked him why the sudden interest in me and my body. He has never been so interested before and never so passionate and attentive, not even when I was 10 years younger and more beautiful. He said he always found me beautiful and he didn't know why he's more attracted now. I told him that I knew why, because suddenly you couldn't picture someone else with your wife and suddenly I was more than a wife and a mother in your eyes. I was something to be desired. He tried to deny it, but I didn't budge. I told him that he wasn't seeing other women because he's too busy trying to keep me at bay. The moment I was under his control again, he would lose interest and start seeing other women. Hopefully, it would be when I'm pregnant because in his mind, I would be less appealing to men. He was so angry about this and he told me it was all in my head. He threw the dinner plate across the room and left. He spent the night outside. Next day, when he was calmer, I told him that I didn't want to close our marriage. I loved him very much, but I was miserable without intimacy. I believed in my heart that we, the both of us, could have the cake and eat it too. We could have our beautiful life with our children and careers, families and friends, our hobbies, our trips and dinner dates. Everything that we loved and cherished about each other, and have active intimate lives with like-minded people. I told him that he didn't seem to be as cool with my pics as I was all these months with all the women he showed me. Maybe I could be more discreet so the men I met stayed faceless in his mind. Maybe it was easier? He didn't answer me. I told him we could also go our separate ways. To this, he was starting to get agitated again, so I asked him to calm down and listen. He just couldn't demolish my kitchen and walk away every time I said something that wasn't to his taste. I couldn't and wouldn't go back to how things were before opening our marriage, so he either wanted this or we should get a divorce. I asked him to think about it. Thursday, when he got back from work, I had already changed and was ready to go out. He didn't say anything. When I got home, he was crying and saying that he couldn't do this anymore. I told him that we only have one solution then, and it was divorce. He said that I was brutal. He said, "You're not the beautiful and kind woman I married anymore." He hasn't been home this weekend. He just called every night to say good night to the children. He just texted me once, "Are you in love with Jay?" No. Is he better than me? No. Are you gonna start dating him if we divorce? I didn't answer. Update 2. Jay has now ended our agreement. He has called me to tell me that this was over. My husband asked to meet him yesterday. He denied that we had an open marriage and told Jay that he needed to back off. He showed him the text where I said that Jay wasn't better and that I wasn't in love with him, so Jay was very hurt, believing that I lied to him. I tried to explain everything, but he didn't believe me. I sent him a screenshot with my husband arranging his hookups, and a screenshot with me telling my husband I was meeting Jay. I think he believed me afterwards, but he wanted to end it anyway. He has feelings for me and this arrangement won't work for him anymore. I told him that I totally understood him and I apologized for my and my husband's actions. I'm not mad, but I'm sad that I've lost him. It takes a lot for me to like and trust someone, but I understand that he doesn't want to deal with this drama. I'm going to miss him though. My husband came home today all smiles and he said we should give our open marriage a shot. Seeing how the children were happy seeing him after disappearing for the whole weekend broke my heart. I've been so self-involved, forgetting that my babies are the most important thing right now. I won't forget that now. I didn't talk to him at all. I just said okay, but he wants us to talk later in the evening after dinner. Update 3. I've talked more to Jay and I'm meeting him today. We didn't think it was right to just end it over texts, but we just really needed an excuse to meet. I only have a few meetings now in the morning and the rest of my day is free. I told my husband this today when he woke up all smiles, and it wiped that smugness out of his face. Jay apologized for ending it via text. He thought it was disrespectful. He said he had feelings for me and it was hard enough for him to just sleep around, but now my husband had contacted him and it hit him that he's breaking a family. He couldn't have this on his conscience. I explained everything that transpired with my husband yesterday and that he was back to open marriage. Jay was disappointed and said he really didn't understand my husband. Anyway, I told him that I really liked him but that we're in very different stages in our lives. I'm a mom, 39, married and finished with having children. He's 36, single, and only starting to build his business and life. Didn't he want love? Be a father to his own children? Find someone without my baggage? He was quiet for a while and then said, "You're right. I don't know, I want more than anything to continue seeing him, but I didn't ask him even though I wanted to. I don't want to mess with his life or his heart." I've also told my best friend everything and she has a friend whom she knew liked me. She's setting up a date for me tomorrow or Wednesday. I told my husband about this date also. I even told him that since we both want an open marriage now, I need to set new rules. There was to be no details about our dates and absolutely no contacting them. He was very angry and tried to protest, but I told him this is my condition. He is back to being broody. He was very angry when he came home from work, so I told him that we should talk. I told him that what he did with Jay just proved that he never wanted an open marriage as much as a free pass to sleep with other women, that he never really expected me to act on my urges because he knew I was very shy. He apologized for contacting Jay and told me that he wanted to give us, just as a try. I told him that that wasn't what he said when he was smirking at me after talking to Jay. He actually admitted that he said what he said just to hurt me because I still wanted to see Jay after having a wonderful week together. He said that he was jealous because he knew I liked Jay, while he never liked any of the women he's sleeping with. I told him that I wasn't interested at all in closing the marriage. I want an open marriage, with no conditions about details of who we meet, or I want divorce. He started sobbing, real tears, and told me that he couldn't share me with others, but later, he said he didn't want a divorce so he wants to give this a chance. I can see divorce down the road because I'm actually monogamous at heart, and I know my husband wouldn't be so thrilled about me sleeping around, but for now, I'm giving this a shot. I work flexible hours. I can always be around my children when they're growing up, and I love every other aspect of my life with my husband, so please stop the abuse. I'm a child of divorce myself, and while I turned out all right, I always dreamed of my parents staying together for me. I hated being the third wheel in both my parents' new families, and I never felt really home anywhere. My biggest joy in life is coming home from work and spending the rest of the evening with my children, and I look forward to every weekend just to be with them. I want to be there every day, see them grow to be the kind people that they're becoming. I don't want to share them with a new woman/women. I don't want them to feel like they're outsiders. I love my husband, and I have all the means to make a good and happy home.